Warning: some listeners may find the contents of this show disturbing. Parental discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Wild Time with myself, Thomas Janak, here on Dublin South FM. Wild Time is the animal rights / world conservation show with a difference. The official blog is www.wildtimeds.blogspot.com. That's www.wildtimeds.blogspot.com. We're on air every Monday between 1 and 2 p.m. and the shows get repeated every Saturday between 2 and 3 p.m. Today's guest is Dr. Steve Best. He's an educator and animal rights activist for at least 30 years, and he has often been a key speaker, a keynote speaker, and he has been traveling all over the world to educate people on veganism and animal rights and things along those lines. He is quite controversial, yet very much adored by many people. He also contributes greatly to a website called Negotiation is Over, and although he insists that he hasn't coined that phrase, as a matter of fact, negotiation is over is pretty much really attached to him. What also is interesting is that even the vegans do not get off lightly with this gentleman. But before we get into the interview, here's a little song that gives you a few minutes to grab some biscuits and prepare tea or coffee, because you should not miss this for the world. This is Wild Time. My name is Thomas Janak, and our guest today is Steve Best.
It starts with
one thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock takes life away. It's so unreal. Didn't look out below. Watch the time go right out the window. Trying to hold on, didn't even know I wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to be will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to remind myself how I tried so hard. In spite of the way you were mocking me, acting like I was part of your property, remembering all the times you fought with me, I'm surprised it got so. Things aren't the way they were before. You wouldn't even recognize me anymore. Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I put my trust in you, pushed as far as I can go, for all this
Hello, you're listening to Wild Time with myself, Thomas Janak, here on Dublin South FM. As promised, on the phone today, Dr. Steve Best. And the first question that I really have is, like, the website is called Negotiation is Over. Is it?
That was my first question. Okay. Right out of the bat, right off the gun. There you go. Yeah, I think it pretty much is. I mean, how much longer do we have to ask? How much longer do we have to debate? How much longer do we have to plead? How many more hearts do we have to appeal to? How much more love and compassion and understanding do we have to show? And after a while, tolerance becomes a vice and not a virtue. It becomes a symptom of a Stockholm syndrome, where it's just not healthy. And, you know, rights have been won in history by taking them, not by asking them, not by waiting for them, not by pleading, just taking them. You know, the critical theorist named Herbert Marcuse, Germany, very popular in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, he wrote an essay about repressive tolerance. And he said that tolerance is a virtue in most senses of the word, but you know, we've become so tolerant of the intolerable, of repression, of oppression, of this holocaust of animals, and why people aren't just livid, burning, angry, mad about what goes on in society and what's happening to the animals and to the planet. And we're all walking around like this is acceptable to us, and we'll just be patient, and you know, we just keep doing our nonviolent demonstrations and keep sending in these letters and keep you know, chanting for peace, and someday it'll come. Well, I think this is all over. I don't know when the day has to come when we have to realize that negotiation, in some sense, is over. And the other thing is, when you negotiate, when you debate, when you have dialogue, it's always on their terms. It's always, you know, if you're going to debate vivisectors, well, we're going to have it here at the medical college, and there'll be 10 medical doctors, and there'll be you. And, you know, it's always on their terms. It always favors the oppressors. And there's something problematic about negotiation, which also entails to me compromise and a lot of things. So why don't we just say, look, we're done talking to you. We've been talking for eons to you. You say the same thing. We say the same thing. We're not getting anywhere, but you like this game because it's a delaying tactic. So they love to debate and negotiate all day long, but we've got to recognize that it's always on their terms. It always benefits them. It's a delaying tactic, and it's a fool's game.
And the problem, I mean, the main problem is that apparently because of the conditioning that's going on globally, when you say such a thing that we shouldn't be testing on animals, there are even the big companies openly agree that 95% at least of all the tests are useless to humans or dangerous to humans, and therefore absolutely rubbish to even have them, and they often don't want to know about computer models and whatever we have in the 21st century to make this go away. And a lot of people buy into this idea, you know, but we need our medication, and you know, there are lower life forms and all that kind of stuff. So where do we go from here when we say negotiation is over? How do we get people to, I mean, I know part of it is like always, like everybody does, you know, it's the lobbying of things and saying this is wrong, and probably the peaceful protests have to continue as well. But where do we go from here? What do you think has to happen to make people understand and listen?
Well, I mean, actually, to say something like negotiation is over can entail any number of tactics or politics or practical implications, and violent, non-violent, legal, illegal. It's just saying that you have nothing more to talk about, and now you're just going to take change in your own hands. Really what it means is just direct action, right? That we're done talking, we're all talked out, and it's like a divorce, you know. Why don't we divorce ourselves from our oppressors, you know?
Tell me all about it.
We've tried to have this talk before, we're not getting along, things aren't getting better, not changing. Let's just call this a divorce. And so we're going to go separate ways, and we're going to fight it out. And now the way you fight it out is how you choose. But I think what's important here to realize is that we're not going to learn anything by having dialogues. They're not going to give us anything that is not highly compromised and not worth having anyway, ultimately. And so it's really open to any number of tactics.